listening to the Punisher Waterfowls, the Union 0430 podcast, brought to you by Real Geese Decoys, the most technological advanced silhouette decoys on the market, and Vortex Canada, the force of optics.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Union 0430, episode 88. And Phil and Dave's not here, so they can't do their stupid joke on episode 88. So that's good. It's light again. It seems like an ongoing theme. It's usually only two or three of us on for the last few weeks, but spring is in the air, love is in the air, all that good stuff. So everybody is busy, but threw a real short leash out to Rocky Stockdale this morning. He fired me off a message and just said that he had listened to episode 87. He was liking it. I was like, hey, what are you doing tonight? We had someone back out on us at last minute. If you don't come on, we've got no guests. And he was like, well, I think I can make it. So welcome, Rocky Stockdale, coming to us all the way from West Arkansas. In the United States of America. I was about to say West Arkansas in the great state of Arkansas, which is sort of redundant, but Mark's coming to us outside of the nation's capital in Canada. I'm outside of Kingston, Ontario. Rocky, buddy, thank you so much for coming on. I know we didn't give you much notice.
That's all right, man. That's quite all right. I'm happy to be here. Glad I can make it on short notice. Super excited to join you guys. Loving the content you are doing. So again, happy to be here, brother.
Awesome, man. Listen, let's start this off and let's get right into it. So River Rat Decoy rigs. So before we hit the record button, you said, you're an infant into the waterfowling world. You've only been at it 6 seasons and now you've dipped your toes right in. That is,
Yeah.
Tell us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So, like I said before we went live, 6 seasons into waterfowling, man, I'm a guy that asks tons of questions, learn lots. I've networked. I picked up on a word you guys used in that last episode about networking, and then I caught one in the previous episode with JJ. Networking is key and vital. That's what it's about for me. So it is what it is, and here we are.
Yeah, man. Like, and it is like we're into episode 88 tonight. We're doing episode 88, and you can ask Mark and ask the boys. Like when I first pitched this idea to Mark and all the boys, I was like, hey fellas, what do you think we'll do a podcast? We didn't really think it was going to be anything, and I think we were all surprised when we hit the 50th episode that we actually done 50 episodes. But the really cool thing was the people that, like, right from the start, when we started asking people, hey, listen, we're a bunch of dudes up in Canada, we just love talking about hunting birds, would you like to come on the show? And people did. They were like, yeah, man, I'd love to come on and talk about hunting birds with you. And it was his networking. We knew this guy, and then this guy introduced us to that guy. And next thing you know, 88 episodes in, and it's all been from a large point because of networking.
Yep. I don't know, man. It's hard to make it on your own.
Impossible to do it on your own.
100% impossible. And social media has taken businesses to a whole different level with the internet. It's just unreal watching small businesses grow, whether they're successful or grow into giants like Lifetime or Rig 'em Right. That remains to be seen, but small businesses are out there. So
yeah, and the thing is that it just takes that one moment in time, right? It's that one thing that hooks, that people catches. We haven't had it yet. People haven't hooked onto us yet. We haven't seen our big boom, and the same with you, right? But you bring up Lifetime, you bring up Rig 'em Right, you bring up like all of these names that are out there that have been out there for years. They've all they were all slugging it in the trenches for ages, right? And then at one point, at one show, one social media post, one video, something piqued somebody's interest, and it just blew up from there, right? And that's, I think what you're seeing now is, and this isn't us bragging or anything like that, but I think what it is now is anybody that starts a small business, if they have the determination to see it through, it'll probably succeed. It'll take time. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you got the determination, it'll probably succeed. You won't be a millionaire. And I guess what your definition of succeeding is different. Everybody is a little bit different, right? But for us, I think we're pretty much getting close to succeeding right now, Mark. From what we had originally planned, I think we're pretty much hitting the top of what our goals were.
Yeah, no, we're it's definitely like we've seen like the people we've managed to meet in doing this. It's just the amount has changed over time and evolves and keeps. It's not that we met better and better people, because everybody is the same, right? It's that we met different people in like down, we'll call it down rabbit holes that we never would have met unless there was some sort of social media presence.
Yeah.
Which got us introduced to different people who in turn introduced us to other people. It's worked out really well, man. Like we never seen it going this way.
No.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, just here's a great example. Just to give a shout out to a buddy of mine up in Canada, Greg Taylor. He started posting up with Punisher Waterfowl. You know, and I kind of clicked on the like button, started following along, and Greg would just keep, posting up podcast this and podcast that. And I was just going to work yesterday. I was thinking, you know what? Let me turn on this whole podcast thing. Let me give it a whirl. And here we are today, visiting.
Yeah. He sent me a message today, and he said, make sure you say hi to Rocky for me. He said he's a good dude. So, and Greg's an awesome dude. Like, Mark has had Greg do some work for him. We've had Greg do some work for us. He's designed a couple t-shirts for us. He's made a logo for Mark. Another buddy of ours, just started a jig, like fishing jigs. He started a fishing jig business, Jacked Up Jigs, right, Mark? Jacked Up Jigs, Sheldon Evans. Big shout out to him. But Greg done his logo too, so it's awesome. It is. Don't
forget Phil's logo.
Oh, and then only Phil's, and then only Phil's logo, where he's paying people not to receive nude pictures of himself.
No, only Phil logo. Yeah, so talking about Greg and what he's reaching out to and folks that he's doing work for. So I had a pretty cool shot with my dog with the mallard in his mouth, and so I snapped a picture, uploaded some photos on my personal business page, and shared them to my personal account also. And as about a day or two later, Greg was posting up some artwork that he had done. I was like, dang, that looks oddly like the picture I just uploaded. So I directly messaged Greg. I said, hey, where'd you get your inspiration from? And shot him that picture. He said, man, I'm not gonna lie. He said some of that inspiration came to that picture. I mean, it was a collaboration from other pictures with dogs.
Right.
And then I'm trying to take a page from a couple different industries. I'm looking at doing a personal mold. So we got these bank sinkers.
Yeah.
So a buddy of mine that I hunt with, he said, you ever thought about doing like a custom mold, to kind of separate yourself from looks? So I reached out to Greg. Greg is sketching up something for me, and then I'll look into some custom molds. I don't want to reveal what that is, just because it's something in the works, but just a little personal touch on Texas Rig Decoys.
Well,
and that's something to do with your logo.
Oh, 100%.
Well, and that's where like you're not a fool either, right? And neither are we. Like, there's a bunch of businesses out there that's doing the same thing we're doing, you know, just trying to promote waterfowl hunting and that stuff. There's a ton of businesses out there that's doing rigging, much like yourself. So the only, like, you could be like everybody else, but then you're probably not going to see the success that you want, right? So you've got to try and make something different and try and get someone's attention, because after a while, people want to see something different. So when it comes to rigs, I'm going to tell you, like, if it's all these little teardrop, if it's a teardrop lead weight, or if it's a cool design, and I got to pay extra $1 or so, I'm probably going to go with the cool design just because, you know. So, you know, I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what you got planned. So tell us about your rig. So if compare it to company A to yours, and you don't have to compare it to an actual brand name, but like, tell us about your rigs. What is it with your rigs?
Man, you know, so like I said, I'm relatively infant in the waterfowl business. Started with those monofilament lines, memory, the lines freezing and breaking, decoys floating off. You got to chase them down. So I got in the shop and did a little DIY stuff with some decoy rigs. And they weren't exactly what I was looking for, because the cable diameter that I used was, you know, a little heavy, but they served the purpose. Sold some gear to a friend of mine. I said, "Oh, by the way, here's your decoy rigs." And he's like, "Hey, did you make these?" I was like, "Absolutely." He said, "Man, you got something here. I think you ought to make some of these and try to sell them." So I did. Yeah. And man, I don't really know what's. I mean, other than a small shop business guy making decoy rigs, you know, just using coated cable. The memory isn't retained in these things. The lifetime of what you get for what you're paying for. I mean, they just, I don't see them wearing out. I mean, you're going to have to leave your decoy rig tied to a cypress knob, tie it onto the back of your boat and pull your decoys out, and you're going to tear your rig up. That's the only way I see you tearing these things up, you know?
And that's like, you listened to the episode where we talked with JJ, right? And I talked to him about rigs, and I said, like, I've got rigs right now, like, and the ones I got are driving me bananas, because, well, you like, that's some old ones right there, but like, look at it, it's a rat's nest, right? So and it's just a pain, like, especially in November, man, you're wearing gloves and you're trying, and it's just, so that eliminating the memory out of the line, you're winning already. Once you've done that, you're already putting out a better product than you know what's out there for a lot of these companies. So I think you're off to a great start, man. And to be honest with you, River Rat, I like that name. Like, I dig that name. I really do, because I dig it.
It was man, I started selling these things, and I was thinking, man, let's take this a step further. Let's start a little small business. So I was talking to a buddy of mine over in Oklahoma about some business names, and he's like, let me think about it, because he's got an outfit service, and then he also has some hunt test dogs. Shoot, I'll just give him a shout out, Justin Jackson over in Oklahoma, boys, Money Band Retrievers, awesome dude. But I was corresponding with him about some business names, and the thought occurred to me, man, I live next to the Arkansas River Rat. Let's go with it. River Rat Decoy Rigs. There you go. And I sent him the message. He's like, man, I love it. So that's where we went with. You know, and getting back to these rigs, some of my clients, man, they have had some great positive feedback. A guy out in Georgia's got some. And I said, I don't know what it is. He said, but your lines, for some reason or another, they don't tangle as bad as some of the other things he's got with the coated cable.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe I've got something special. Maybe I don't. But here we are.
Yeah, and years later. Yeah, and that's all it'll take, right? It takes one dude to say, you know what? I like these. Like, and they're not, they're not tangling up, and then he tells somebody else, and then bam, bam, bam. That's the awesome thing about down in the States. Like, things are, like, your shipping in the States is cheaper than what it is in Canada. Like, I couldn't even imagine trying to ship rigging across Canada. Like, that would be just outrageous. Like, outrageous.
Well, shipping's terrible, even for us. And you guys were talking about COVID in the previous podcast. Man, the USPS, they're losing packages. I had a customer in Colorado, had some packages. Well, it was just one package, but it was like 8 dozen decoy rigs, 8-ounce weights, and it was like a month and a half, 2 months before it showed up. And I said, "Look, man, I apologize." He said, "Man," he was very understanding. He said, "It's not on you. You sent me tracking."
Yeah.
So he was patient with me. He was patient with the USPS. So I started looking at some other shipping things. Got onto ShipNation, and I kind of cut my costs on shipping, so it's kind of helping out.
Oh, awesome.
International, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
I haven't sent anything to you boys up north, but maybe someday.
Yeah. Wow.
It's almost like you need if you ever go that route, it's almost like you need a distributor or someone who could act as a distributor for you or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, that would be the way to do it.
Crossing the border, you end up with all the duties and everything, right? So you got to find a way to work with that as a distributor.
Yeah, and like, so I've got a package coming from First Light. So they sent it out. I don't know. It was over a week ago. They sent me a message. They were like, "Yeah, we're going to send that out. Just need your address. Just confirm your address." And I sent it to them, right? And I said, "Shoot me the tracking information when you get it." Obviously, just busy, whatever. They didn't send the tracking information. So I fired them off a message yesterday. And I was like, "Listen, I still haven't received that package, and something's up. I know, because they're usually super fast. First Light is usually super fast getting the product to you, like less than a week. And it's still stuck in the border. They rolled me back. They were like, "Yeah, it's stuck at the border. We have no idea why." So we're looking into it. So it's one day of the week it'll fly through easy, and then the next day it's just a nightmare, right? So I don't envy you, but when you open up your big manufacturing facility and then you need a distributor, then you worry about getting up north. Then you worry about, and until then, don't worry about getting up north, buddy.
Man, talking about like big orders. So I guess it was about my first year, kind of somewhat of a structured business. I had a club in Northeast Arkansas, kind of two stories. I had a club up in Northeast Arkansas on November 2nd, reached out and said, "Hey, what would be the price on 150 dozen decoy rigs?" Well,
that's a big order, dude.
Oh yeah. So I messaged the guy back. I was like, did you mean 15 dozen? He goes, "No, 150 dozen. So I shot him a price. I think season opened up, I want to say the 17th, 18th, somewhere around that year. November 7th, the guy says, "Let's go ahead and do this if you can get it done." I said, "I'll take the challenge."
Yeah.
November 12th. Wait a minute. My dates are a little wrong. I came through with that order 2 days before season started, and man, you want to talk? I took decoy rigs to Missouri on my hunting trip, putting decoy rigs together. I was bound and determined to get that done, and
that's impressive, dude.
Like, yeah, I mean, I had to reach out, get a little help pouring some more weights, but
yeah,
we got it done.
Yeah, whatever it takes. 150 dozen.
Yeah, that's 1,800 decoy rigs. So,
and that was in your own. Do you have a small shop? What do you have?
Yeah, I did the workout in the shop. This is before I had a cable press. I take that back. I had my cable press for these crimps.
Yep.
I finally, my cable press or my crimp press was in. Prior to that, just in the old vise, squeezing these crimps down. But yeah, all out in the shop, hours of the morning. God bless. It was. I was about done with decoy rigs. But the other story, man,
1,800
another
decoy
club
rigs.
out in Northeast Arkansas, they reached out. They said, "Hey, we kind of been following you along. We had some vandalism over Christmas. What are the odds you guys, or you can get us 10 dozen decoy rigs, relatively quick?" He said, I told him, and this was like on a Tuesday. I said, I tell you what, I said, you guys want to do business with me? Let's go ahead and do this. I'll have them for you Friday.
Yeah.
And they said, done. So, man, I'm about customer service. You guys have probably come across bad customer service. I'm trying to make customer service 100% the forefront of what I'm doing. So that club was very appreciative. They invited me on a hunt on a weekend. So, I'm not in it for hunts, but it just happened to work out and they invited me. So
yeah, buddy, take all of that. It is not so much. It's not so much the hunt. It's the people that you're going to get to hang out with, right?
Right.
That's the thing. Like we always, and we're big believers in it. We say it at every show, to surround yourself with good people. And if you continue to surround yourself with good people, good things are going to happen to you, right? If you're surrounded by bad people, well, then nothing good's going to happen. So, you take those gambles and you go out and on that hunt. Yeah, it was awesome to get out on the hunt. Like, don't get me wrong, I'd love to get out at one of these hunt clubs too, but the people that you're hanging out with too, that's where it's at.
Yeah, you make a connection with these guys, and you correspond. You get to, next thing you know, your friends. You're watching their family grow up. They're watching my family grow up, and the rest is history. They say,
Yeah, and keeping all that in mind too, because you seem like we've only talked a short while, but you can get a vibe from someone, especially after we've dealt with a lot of different people, hey Damien, now.
yeah.
But you get a vibe from someone. You can tell which way they're going to go, and we've already talked about it. The waterfowling world is small, right? People notice things. People notice things. Like if you're going to start trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, or do anything, you're trying to scam or anything like that. People notice. People aren't stupid. We've all been through it, right? So it doesn't benefit you or anyone else to do it, and everyone notices. So yourself already. You know that customer service. You appreciate customer service, so you want to deliver customer service.
Absolutely.
So to me, you're on the right track. I mean, that's the best way to run a business.
What is it you always say, Mark? You always used to say something. It takes something about nobody leaves a good comment, but they'll always leave a negative comment. So the point that I'm getting at is, it is such a small world. You screw somebody over, they will 100% let everybody know that you screwed them over.
Yeah, and it just circles back around to that network thing. River Rat Decoy rigs, puts a bad taste in somebody's mouth.
Yeah,
Guess
that's
what?
right.
They got a buddy in Kansas who's got a buddy in Iowa who's got a buddy in North Dakota. Next thing you know, you boys up north of the border, you are like, this guy's full of it.
Yeah. Well, and it's 100% right, because everybody thinks that this waterfowling world, the businesses that are in it, everybody thinks it's this huge, massive industry, this money-making machine, and it's not. There's a dozen businesses out there that I would say that are the big names.
Yep.
They're all fighting for the same piece of the pie. And then there's all the little guys. They're trying to wiggle in there somewhere, but everybody knows what everybody else is doing.
Absolutely.
So, you customer service, you gotta, the thing that I find is that if you just be yourself, like, don't try and hide anything, just be 100% honest, Listen, if you're a jerk, you're a jerk. Like, it's okay to be a jerk, but just
be upfront about it.
Just be upfront about it, exactly. so that people know, oh, okay, he's a jerk, but at least he's honest and he's not behind my back, or you know what I mean? Like, you just be yourself. Jerk. Yeah, he's an honest jerk. Like, you know what I mean? You just be yourself and don't pretend to be somebody that you're not. I guess. And I think that was things that I was doing right from the beginning. First, when I started Punisher Waterfowl, I thought I had to be like this big shot dude, and I had to, I had to have all this gear, and I had to, be able to travel and do this and spend money, and you know what I mean, and try to make myself look like I was a big time deal in the waterfowling world, which wasn't the case at all. And people see through it like that. They can see through you in a heartbeat if you're faking it. If you're a real deal, well, then go for it. But for me, people seen right through it right off the bat. And I was like, man, what am I doing? I can't afford to do this, to act like this. So I'm just going to be me. Like, screw this. I'm not trying to impress nobody. And I think it's worked out better this way. At least I'm still married now. She hasn't left me.
Oh man, it's nonstop here in our house. My 15-year-old son, he's been hunting with me since, God bless, that dude was little bitty. When back when I was deer hunting a lot, he walked across a 600-yard harvested cornfield in Missouri. He couldn't have been 4 years old, and he was a trooper. And he's my right hand man now. Do we tangle up? Absolutely. He's a teenager.
Of course. You don't know nothing, buddy. They know it all.
I don't know. Facts, 100% facts. But it's waterfowl nonstop with him. It's fishing nonstop with him. It's hunting nonstop with him. And Mama, she has her belly full sometimes, and so, but
she wouldn't be a mama if she wouldn't be a mama if she didn't.
You bet.
Yeah, so I've got a 15-year-old too, but mine's of the female variety. So have fun, enjoy the sun there.
Yeah, we have three boys. We have three boys.
Okay.
I've got a pile of nieces, and I tell my brother-in-laws all the time. I said, man, I don't envy you guys one bit, not one bit. But Uncle Rocky has their backs.
Yeah, there you go. It's funny. We're heading. So tomorrow, myself, Mark, rest of the crew, we're all heading to a trade show, and we're going and we're spending the night, right? So one of the other guys, my business partner, Dave, him and his family are coming, and we're all going to this hotel room anyways. So Dave's got a son that's about 15 years old. I've got a daughter that's 15 years old, and my daughter's bringing one of her girlfriends with her along on the trip. And I messaged Dave and I said, listen, you tell Kobe that I find out he's anywhere near my daughter. I was like, you remind Kobe what I did for a living before I retired. I was like, right. I know some things, and I have no problem hurting Kobe. And he just laughed. He was like, yeah. So it's fun times, man.
For listen.
Yeah, go for it, Mark.
I was going to say, for the hundreds of thousands of people already watching, I don't have to obviously tell you this. For the people listening, if you could see Damien right now, you'd be scratching your head and wondering who the hell this is on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's about as baby face as they come. He looks younger than Dave right now. So he's at about the 10-year-old level now.
I know, man. I tell you, so I didn't want to get rid of the beard. I really didn't. But I really, really needed a trim. And I'm just getting over COVID, right? So I had it all planned out. I was going to go get a nice beard trim, nice haircut before the show down in Toronto. But I had COVID. I had to cancel, couldn't get another appointment. And the beard, it was it was all out of whack. Like it was bad, man. Like it was not a good looking beard anymore. And I couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't tame it. And besides, I started to get, it was really getting irritated around my lip and underneath my chin. So I said, I'll just take a little bit off here, and just see. I was like, you know what, screw it. And that was my wife's birthday yesterday. So as a birthday present to her, I said, screw it. I'll just take it all off. And
went straight baby face.
Went straight baby face, but it's
grow it back.
No. She's like, thank God. She was like, keep that thing off your face. She was like, she do not like that beard whatsoever. So, but the summertime's coming, so I think I'll keep it off for the summer. And once she starts to cool down, I'll let her grow back again. We'll see. But it's weird. It's weird. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Like
it looks weird.
Yeah, it's like I got a pumpkin head now too. Like it's like my face is 10 times the size of
real baby face.
When I'm fighting the razor, and the next thing you know, I'm baby face. I don't even recognize myself. I'm instant 5 years younger, instant. So.
That's awesome. So listen now. So you're working on this new design for your weight. Do you have any other like big, like down the road plans, like your 3-4 years down the road that, you know, you're doing your rigging now? Is there something else that River Rat wants to get into, but you're just, you know, it's just.
So the guy that helped me with my logo, he kind of helped me with a little direction, with branding and stuff. He said, after your decoy rigs, he said, you gotta work on something else. Otherwise you're going to be stale. And the next thing, stale gets thrown out. Do I have something in the works in the future? Not at the moment. The decoy industry itself is so overcrowded. Is there room for a guy like me? I don't know. Lifetime has fantastic decoys. I just made the switch from Dakota to Dive Bomb. I wanted to give them a whirl.
Yeah.
So there's 3 companies right there that are just leading the industry. Then you have the great value brands with Flambeaus and for the guys that just want to have budget hunts.
Yeah.
And with your episode with JJ, I don't know how you revolutionize the decoy, so to speak. I mean, the foam decoys. I mean, come on, who doesn't want foam decoys? Water swatting birds, and your decoys aren't floating off or sinking.
Yeah. Like what else can you like? What else is there to do to the decoy that'll make a waterfowler go, oh, that's it. I gotta have it. Like what can you do? What, so you look at JJ and Lifetime Decoys, right? Like they took that croc material, which blows me away that it's made out of the same material that crocs are made out of.
Right.
But that, I think that's as close to revolutionizing the floating decoy. I don't think you can do anything else. Like I really don't. Like if somebody comes up with something that, like, just you're printing your own money.
Right. Short of using live birds, I don't know where it can go. But you're talking about products. I've looked at kind of diving into a jerk rig system. But there again, how much more revolutionary can you get than what's already available? I may toy around with the idea over the summer. I've got some buddies that hunt out of pits, and they've talked to me about some complaints with jerk rigs on steel pits. So I don't know, maybe I've got something that works there.
Okay.
So little, just decoy rigs, got a little product line for apparel. But you got to start somewhere, and that's where we're at right now.
So sorry, go Mark.
Decoy rigs are a good go though, because unless you're running the ones like you were producing, they have to be replaced. I always see them breaking, and a lot of them tangle and whatnot. And sometimes people just want to upgrade. Like I only got a few dozen decoys, but the rigs that are on them right now are the ones I had, and they're on there. But I guarantee they will be replaced because they're not that durable, right? I know they're not.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's
and we all
agree. It's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. The thing, the way I like to think, so I'm a lazy person, right? Like I am a lazy, I want the easiest way to do something every time. So when it comes to rigs and setting up decoys, however I can get an extra 20 minutes sleep in the morning so that I don't have to do it out in the blind, that I'm all for that, right? So I'll pay for an extra 20 minutes sleep every morning. So to me, if you can come up with something that makes life easy, I tell you what would be amazing if someone could design it, is that you just open up a bag and you just go like this, throw, and everything just lands out perfect. Like how many times, and Mark, me and you have done it a million times. How many times have we rolled up onto a spot that we're going to hunt, and we were like, okay, this is where we're going to be in the boat. Yeah, we'll put the lucky duck right here. Yeah, this will be our whole shot right here. Birds will come this way. Yeah, okay, we'll set the decoys like this. Yeah, perfect. Awesome plan. Sit in the boat, sun comes up. Ugh, this don't even look remotely like what we were planning it to look like. You know what I mean? And then you're like, and now it's a head game, right? Oh,
Yep.
So those birds didn't work. It's the decoys. We didn't set the decoys the way we wanted. You know, it's just a total head game. So, you know, like you're into that rigging world, buddy. Like the load. That's the one thing. Like I'm ex-military, so load carriage to me means everything, right? Like how much weight that I've got to carry, how many items I've got to carry, how heavy is it going to be? That is stuff that I find as waterfowlers, I think we're just starting to dip our toes into weight management and load carriage and stuff like this. Like you look at the boats now, man. And so a lot of the guys, this is going to be long-winded, fellas, I'm sorry, and chime in here, but like you look at the boats now, so you look at the Excels and the Prodigies and all these big boats that's out there now, those boats are designed for it. But you still have all these guys that are still going out in their little kinners and they're loading up with 3 and 4 and 5 dozen decoys. Like it's getting borderline suicidal what some of these guys are going out with, right? So I think as an industry, like looking at that weight management and load carriage and just being a little more safer, and I think that's the next ticket. And you're starting to see it in the clothing lines now. Like man, remember what well, probably not so much you, Rocky, because you're only about 6 years in, but as a deer hunter, like you were a deer hunter. So imagine what your deer hunting clothes were 10 years ago compared to today. Do you know what I mean? Like Mark, and like you and I, we talk about it all the time. Like Mark and I, it's just layers. We don't own anything puffy. There's nothing that's thick. It's just layered on top of layered on top of layered. And that's just from our military time. But so the clothing is starting to pick up onto it. How much more longer now before, you know, there's a new line that's even lighter. You know what I mean? And then you know, your beaners, everything will come down to load carriage, especially because I think that's the only thing that we haven't tapped into yet within the industry.
Right. I mean, you know, but reducing the weight, and that's kind of a step that I took this year with my own personal stuff. Just kind of reducing the weight. But by the same token, you know, some boys, they hunt big waters. And in those big waters, you're looking at a little bit more current.
Yeah.
So, you know, kind of cutting down on the weight, it's a double-edged sword, really, you know?
Yeah.
Where do you cut down on the weight? Yeah. You know, where do you cut down on the weight? Because, you know, a 24-inch rig compared to a 12-foot rig, I mean, that's negligible, but you're probably looking at an 8 or a 10-ounce weight on the bottom of that line versus a 3-ounce weight.
Yeah.
You know, multiply that times however many decoys you're running. So I agree with you. I think weight management is probably a direction some things are going, but how do you get around that? It's going to be difficult.
Well, yeah, for the decoy rigging, I don't think it's possible, right? Because you got to have, especially like you said, that big water. You're looking at that the bigger winds, the stronger currents, and just pushing those decoys all over the place. So probably in your lane, probably not something that you could. It's probably not something that's going to work, right?
Right.
But like, there's people there's a thousand dudes in North America right now, guys and girls that are chomping at the bit to get their own piece of the pie. That they want, just like you, just like me, they want to be a part of this, and they're trying to figure out a way. How can I get in there? How can I bring in something new? How can I be the next big thing? And
Right.
man, it got to be hard to come up with the next big thing for waterfowl, because
I'd agree with that.
like, man, like what can you improve on? Like, so look at the motion decoys. Like, there's so much out there now, motion decoys, that I don't even think half of it works.
No, half of it doesn't, man.
Do you know what I mean? Like, I am a believer in the spinner, the Lucky Duck, the Mojo, whatever it is that you're using. I am a believer that is something that should be in your spread. But like these flappers, and then there's so much motion decoys out there now. The quivers and all these things, man, and half of it don't even work, but people are just trying to get in onto the next big thing, right? And soon as somebody comes up with something that seems to be popular, everybody else jumps on and starts making their own thing, right? Like, you look
Absolutely.
at
Well, I mean, swimmers, for example. I'm running Higdon battleships. I like them; they're fantastic. But I'm kind of a DIY guy. Ran into a guy in Kentucky. We've been corresponding back and forth. He reached out for a hat of mine, and so we've been corresponding back and forth on some DIY swimmers. I mean, are we going to make it revolutionary? Highly unlikely, but. Is it something that is there a slight subtle change that makes that swimmer different than what's everybody out there? I don't know. You're going to have to wait and see, because I've got something in mind.
That's cool.
I don't know. So,
that's cool.
But you're right, man. How do you change it? Spinning wings. I'm on the fence with spinning wings. By the time birds get down here, they're so educated. I had spinning wings. I sold spinning wings. Now I want spinning wings back.
So I tell you, I've been hunting over a lucky duck for I don't know, 5 years easy, and I like it. I dunked one, tore it all up. Then Mark had a spare parts one he gave me. I put it all back together. Managed to put one back together. And then I hunted this past fall. I hunted over the Avian X one, and it might sound silly, and it, you know what, it probably it'll sound silly coming out of my mouth, but the wings on that Avian X, they spin so much faster, and it makes it look like it's more realistic. Like, not that a duck coming in is flapping really crazy, but the colors that you see when it's just, doing that back pedal seem like it's more in line with what the Avian X is doing. So I was like, okay, so it's cool. So they've upped the revolutions, and they've done their wing is like it's like a 3D wing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? So it's sort of like a 3D wing, and when it flaps, the colors looks a little bit brighter. So then I was like, oh, well, I got to get one of these Avian X things, because you know what? It's just brilliant. I love it. I love hunting over it. It worked and brought birds in. Could not get one in Canada halfway through the season. Like, nowhere. Could not find them. And they weren't cheap. Like, they were, I would say they were close on the double of what a lucky duck was.
Oh goodness, good gracious.
Yeah. So, you know, you're definitely paying for it. And that's the other thing. You know, you gotta come up with something that everybody wants, that everybody can afford. And
Right. Yeah.
that's the tricky part right
You got to
there.
come to market. You got to come to market with a good price point. You know, I've talked with a few guys that I hunt with that I know personally. The feedback I get with price points, they're down with what I'm doing. They're like 100%. Season gets closer, I'll get you some business.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather support the small guy. The big guys, they've already made it. You know, and they've got their product line is developed,
Yeah.
for lack of better terms,
Mhm.
and they have it, and they have a product line. You know, I just got a product.
Yeah.
So you know, that's where we're at, and hopefully I can come up like with Avian X with a 3D printed decoy rig that costs pennies on the dollar. And
Yeah. There you go, man. Well, and that's it, right? You just and it'll happen. It'll come one day and it'll be just like, you know what, why don't I try this? And it'll happen, buddy. I got faith. I know it'll happen because good things happen to good people, dude. And that's fact, right? That's just the way the world works. So it'll happen. I can't wait to see what else comes. I'm looking forward to seeing what your design is on these lead weights. That's going to be. It's going to be. I bet you. I got a good idea what it is. I think, anyways. So,
hey, if Greg spills the beans, I know who
Oh,
spills
no.
the beans.
oh no,
Well,
he won't.
what'll happen with Greg is a week before he puts out your thing.
He'll post it. He'll
I'll post
post
something
it.
about it.
That's what he did with
You
Merck's.
hear me, Greg? Yes, I'm talking to you, Greg.
That's what he did with Merck's logo.
Yeah. Hey, so I hear Damien. You keep talking about the military. I'm prior military myself. Is 0430? Are you guys all veterans? Are you some of you guys still serving, or what's the deal there?
Mark is still serving. I'm retired. Dave's no military experience. Our buddy Phil is a police officer, and our other buddy Ryan, he hasn't been on in a few months, but he's part of the show as well. He just retired military.
Okay.
Mark's Air Force. I was Army.
Air Force myself, brother.
Hey,
Oh.
what's your trade?
What was that?
What's your trade?
Air traffic control.
Okay, ATC, right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
So
initial,
I served from 98 to 02 and then got out, and fast forward to where we're at today. And that's what I do for a living. This decoy rig is kind of a side hustle.
Yeah.
You know, it pays for hunting trips. It pays for a future Avian X spinning wing, maybe.
There you go. No, buddy, that's awesome. Good to see you. Good to see another vet. I love hanging out with the Americans. It's always good to.
Right.
Good friends who are American vets, man. Like,
Yeah.
in the still being in the military, and Canadians deal with Americans a lot. I'm an aircraft mechanic.
Okay.
And I've dealt with tons of Americans, and I just love working with them. And I've been down to the States to do courses and stuff, and it's usually with Americans and stuff. It's just awesome. Like I have no bad experiences dealing with Americans when it comes to working on aircraft or the military or anything like that. So it's awesome.
Right on.
We got my best story is when we were in Kandahar in 06. So when we deploy overseas, Rocky, like, we know the date that we're going to get in country, and for the most part, we know the day that we're going to leave country too, right? Like,
Right.
That's usually fairly upfront. But when we were in 06 in Kandahar, like, we were hooked up with this crew from 10th Mountain. That's who we were hanging out with. Those boys had no idea when they were going home. They were like, man, we have no idea when we're going home. So the funny thing is that when you're eating MREs, like, you get so sick of your MREs. And we rolled in we rolled into a leaguer one day, and it was just that ring of steel everywhere. And our vehicle rolled in, and I seen about 7 privates coming at us, 7 different Humvees with a box of MREs over their shoulders, running towards us to trade, because they've been eating American MREs for so long. They want a Canadian MREs. They're like, please give us something different to eat. And I'm like, boys, ours are horrible. So if you want ours, I'll take yours all day. Keep them coming, because yeah, they never came back the second time. They never, they were like, oh, fuck, this is nasty.
You boys in the Army, man, you oh my gosh, bless your heart. I don't know what the Canadian Air Force does, but I can tell you right now.
A lot like the American Air Force, I can tell you that.
Even cushier in some ways.
It's not hard. I'm happy to serve my country. I'm sure you boys were too. I never deployed. Doesn't mean that I wouldn't have had it. I had orders to Korea. With going in from there, turned all that down. Career wise is a good choice. So I never served in a combat zone. That doesn't mean I wouldn't have laid down my life for my country. Hands down would have.
Absolutely.
But man, I got a lot of love for veterans. I've got a lot of close friends that have seen combat. You know, I kind of, you know, if they need to talk, my ear's always open.
Big time, buddy. Yeah.
It's a brotherhood, sisterhood with the United States military, and now apparently some boys up north.
Oh yeah, buddy. Yeah, you better believe it. It doesn't get the attention that it deserves. How much, like Mark is saying there, right? How much time he spends down on his trade training and working on stuff. It doesn't get the attention, I guess the attention is the right word. How often we hang out and work together. Because like when I done I was a combat engineer, I was a sapper. So I went to, like, I had to go to Fort Leonard Wood to do training, like for just to build on my training. So I was like, yeah, go to Fort Leonard Wood for like 8 weeks. I was like, fucking rights, this is going to be awesome. I'm living on the economy, man, living in a hotel off post. I was like, this is fucking awesome. Oh, and the poor old engineers that were at that school were getting treated like shit. And I was just like, oh, well, boys, I'm going back to my hotel. You guys have fun. I will not be doing PT in the morning. You guys have fun. If you can't tell, I've skipped a lot of morning PT.
The regimented PT in the Air Force that became a little more structured and required after my time. I'm glad I missed out on
that. That's awesome, Rocky buddy. See, I told you, hour would fly by in no time.
You did, brother.
Oh yeah, man. It happened. This was a great show, dude. It really was. I really enjoyed it. Great guests.
I did too, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. So short notice. I was glad to fill in, get you guys another episode in. Fantastic time visiting with you guys. I really do appreciate it.
No, absolutely. So, listen, let everybody know here right now. We should have done this at the beginning, but I'll make sure that when we post it, I'll put all your social media in the posts and stuff. But let everybody know how they can reach you, how they can get in touch with you, and start ordering up some stuff.
Like I said, when we kind of started out, I'm not a very tech savvy person. Down to earth, hands to the ground kind of guy. So I've got a Facebook page. You can find me there, River Rat Decoy Rigs. I've got a personal Insta account. Have no clue how to even use Instagram, but I probably ought to learn. Right now we're just running on Facebook.
We're gonna help you with your Instagram, dude. Because your Instagram can tie to your Facebook. So you post on Instagram, it goes Instagram and Facebook. You only got to post once. So we're going to help you out with that. We're going to get you squared away. Not that I'm a real tech savvy guy, but I do know a little bit.
I appreciate it.
I do know a little bit.
Direct PMs to me. I'm usually pretty quick to respond. Of course, I've got a full-time job, so when you're talking airplanes, it's kind of no to answer your phone.
Yeah.
So if you're catching me when I'm actually at work, I apologize. I can't get to you quick, but prompt service, customer service is second to none. I'll go ahead and make that bold statement. Second to none with customer service. Always ready to answer questions. So absolutely. Facebook.com, River Rat Decoy Rigs.
So, Mark.
Oh man, that was a good show. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know you were before we met, but like you said, it's a big world and a small world too, right? We've talked about everything and nothing in the show. I mean, it's gone really well. Like this is what I enjoy about doing these shows, is meeting people like yourself and us having these conversations, because it's obviously genuine, and we just carry on and do what we got to do. And I'm happy to have met you. Now that I met you, now you're on my radar, and you're going to be on a lot more people's radar up this way anyway. And hopefully it pays off for you. You might have to ship up to Canada.
I hope so.
If that day comes, we'll figure that out.
Yeah,
Definitely figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some workarounds up here, buddy. So if need be, you got my my contact information. You'll know how to get us. Rocky, buddy, this was a great episode. I can't thank you enough, considering you were given about 8 hours notice.
No problem, man.
To come on the show, but you know what? You said, yeah, I can totally make it, and let's do it. So I appreciate it, dude. I think this is the first of many times we're going to have you on the show. I think you can look forward to another bunch of invites down the road. And I do have to say to you, if there's something that you feel that you need this platform to do, don't wait for an invite. Fire us a message and say, hey, listen, boys, I'd really love to come on. I want to talk about this. We'll get you on, dude. I promise you. So don't wait for the invite. Please message us anytime.
Will do, man.
Anything we can do to help out, because you're helping us just by coming on the show as well, right? So,
yes, sir.
Excuse me, sorry. Ladies and gentlemen, this was episode 88 of the Union 0430. As we always say, we're not experts. We will never pretend to be experts. We're just a bunch of friends that love hanging out, talking about duck hunting, meeting some amazing people, and as always, surrounding ourselves with good people. Big love. St. Patrick's Day. Hope you're all tipping one back. Big love.